Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a little bit different from my previous line. I typically talk about EMS and my experience through my EMT basic program, but today's video is actually going to be about joining the United States military. I personally joined the U.S. Army Reserve back in January, and I enlisted as a 31 Echo, which is an internment resettlement specialist. So for those of you who don't know what an internment resettlement specialist is, it's just a fancy name for corrections officer. So you go through standard basic training, which is 10 weeks, and then you go through advanced individual training, which consists of 7 weeks of essentially correctional officer training. Prior to going to basic training, you'll be assigned a reserve station, and typically they'll want you to go ahead and visit that reserve station and kind of get the gist of what the day-to-day is for their drill weekends. So way back in 2015, I went into the Army recruiting office for the first time. So I sat down with a recruiter. She gave me all the options. They were kind of pushing me towards reserve at the time because I was still in high school. In order to join the military as a junior, you have to do the split ops program. At that time, I was really trying to go active duty, so I just kind of stopped the process at that point. So fast forward to 2017, one of the recruiters from my recruiting station gave me a call and said, hey, why don't you come in and we can talk about options again. So I said, why not? So I went back in. We talked about the options. It sounded like a great way for me to serve part-time and go to college at the same time. So I went ahead and took the pre-ASVAB test, which just basically tells you, how you're going to do on the actual adaptive test. So I scored well on it, well enough to go to Meps to go ahead and take the actual test. So I actually went on a Monday. I believe it was a Monday. So I went on a Monday. I actually took the ASVAB as soon as I got there, before I even checked into the hotel. So I went there, took the ASVAB. I got a good enough score, so I went ahead and stayed the night at the hotel. So the hotel, you get your room key. If you have the person that you want to room with there, then they'll go ahead and place you guys together. But if you don't, then you're just going to be randomly assigned someone. The officer candidates, they get to stay in their own room. They don't have a roommate, but if you're enlisting, then you're going to have a roommate. So you'll get your room key and 2 meal tickets. So one of the meal tickets is for your dinner and one's for breakfast. So depending on the Meps location you're at, they will assign a specific time for you to wake up in the morning. Our time was 04:30, so we had to be up by 4:30, and we had to be dressed and downstairs for breakfast. So my roommate, the first time I went, because actually I had to go 2 times. I had to go the first time for the ASVAB and the physical, which is what I'm going to talk about next. And then I had to go back another time to take the oath of enlistment, because I had to go back to my recruiting station and pick my job. They had to put all the test scores and whatnot into the computer system, and then they pulled up all the jobs that were available to me at the time. So I went ahead and got up about 20 minutes prior to 4:30 because I wanted to, get up, brush my teeth, get ready for the day or whatever. So one thing that I would advise you not to do in the morning is drink mouthwash, because when you get to your MEP site, they will give you a blood alcohol test, and sometimes the small amount of alcohol inside that mouthwash could be picked up on that. So I would just advise you not to do any mouthwash prior to going to the MEP site. Also, do not drink or do anything stupid the night prior, because that will automatically get you disqualified if you come to MEPS not sober. So just don't bother with it. Stay in your room, go down to the game room and hang out. Just, even if you're old enough to drink, don't do it. You're going to ruin your chances. You'll never be able to join the military. And around 4:45, one of the liaison people will come down and give you a briefing on what to expect for the day. So they'll tell you can't bring any knives, any weapons into the MEP site, and they want to make sure you don't have any of that stuff prior to going to that facility, because if you're caught going through that security with any sort of weapons, you will be asked to leave. So we went through the briefing, and he said, okay, everyone get into a single file line, get your ID out, you would go through and he would check your IDs to make sure you're actually who you say you are, and then you would get on a bus. If you're just going to Meps for processing, you'll get on a smaller bus, and all the people who are shipping out will get on the larger bus. So you will be separated from the shippers and the non-shippers. So you get on the bus, they take you to the Meps location, unless you're within walking distance. My Meps was in St. Louis, so they took us on the bus. It was about 5 blocks away from the Holiday Inn that we were staying at. So when you get there, you get off the bus, you go through the security. It takes about 20 to 25 minutes to wait for those security guys to get everything up and running. Just keep in mind that the people that work at Meps, they don't really like their jobs from what I've seen, so just kind of go with the flow and just make sure you're being polite. Yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, okay? You're joining the military. By now you should know that you're going to have to start acting a little bit more proper, and Meps isn't really going to take your crap. So just make sure you're polished up for the day. You don't look like crap. Don't fall asleep either, because they're going to come. I saw a few people fall asleep and they came over, kicked that chair, and they're like, you need to get up or get out. So just make sure you're on top of your game that day. You're going to have to answer a lot of questions and fill out a lot of paperwork that's quite frankly boring. But if you mess one thing up on that paperwork, it could be very bad for you. So make sure that you cross your T's and dot your I's. Make sure everything is in line. So back to where I digress. So I'm going to go back to after you go through security. So after you go through security, you're going to go to your service liaison. Joining the Army, you'll go to the Army's liaison office. That's my personal experience. And then if you're doing Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, you'll go to a separate location for that. So when I got into my Army liaison office, the first thing that they had us do was sign in. So we just signed our name next to the file, and then they gave us our packet. So the person that was there that morning was very cranky, and they weren't really up for any of our crap, so they just kind of said, go to the 10th floor, get out of my face. Whatever floor you go to, you are going to wait for a very long time, depending on what day you go to Meps. Monday is a very busy day for Meps, because typically Monday is a ship day, and so is Tuesday. So if you go on Monday, Tuesday, just keep in mind it's going to be a long day, and you're going to be waiting a lot. It's a lot of hurry up and wait. That's what everyone says at Meps. I've heard it on a lot of other YouTube videos. So when you get up to your medical floor, you're going to wait until your name is called or until you are the next person in line. Don't lead them to any thoughts that you have something wrong with you, because they will look into it, make you go home, get a waiver. It's just a waste of your time. So after you go through that, you're typically going to go to your physical, which depending on the place, depending on your MEP site, I don't know how many people they typically have in your physical, but the male physical consists of some exercises like the duck walk. It's the standard. Don't freak out about it. Don't even really think about it. Just do it. A lot of people say, oh, I've heard, people get disqualified. Yes, I'm sure they have, but just don't stress out about it. It's really just simple exercises that most people who are joining the military should be able to do. So you'll go through like a battery of exercises. They'll look at your spine, make sure you don't have scoliosis or any, spinal deformalities or anything that could prevent you from being a good soldier or sailor, whatever you're doing. So once you get through that, you will have your one-on-one physical with the doctor. Everyone's freaking out about this. The way it worked at my location was we got in a line, you went up to the tape, like I was talking about. There's always a line that you have to stand on before you're called. A lot of these people that work at Meps are cranky. So the way the doctor approached us, he said, you're going to get on that line, you're going to come in when I ask you to, and you're going to do X, Y, Z. So we got on the line, we were stripped down to our boxers. When you do the physical portion, which is the exercise, anything that they're evaluating your, joints or anything, you will be down to your boxers. So do not wear anything that's, considered, questionable or, like those American Eagle boxers that have beer bottles all over them. Don't wear something like that. They will make fun of you and they probably won't give you the best time. So just wear some like standard boxer briefs that don't have any writing on or anything that could attract attention to you. So you get on the line, you go in there, he's going to tell you to drop your drawers. I mean, if you're joining the military, you're going to have to shower with other guys, so get used to it. He's going to look at your stuff, make sure nothing's messed up down there, and then he's going to say, pull up your pants. And He's going to write a few things down, say you're good to go, and you're out the door. At that point, you should have done everything else that you were supposed to. You're going to go back to the front desk. They're going to say, yes, you're good to join the military, and you're going to be out the door. Now, like I said, there's a lot of waiting, so I'd crunch that all down in 5 minutes, but I'm going to be honest with you. You're there from about 5 o'clock in the morning, depending on how long it takes, possibly 5 o'clock at the latest, maybe 6, because I think the Meps location closes at 6 or 7. So you might be there for a very long time. Now, in my case, after they cleared my medical and all the paperwork checked out, I went home. So my recruiter came over and picked me up with another recruit who went there to initially leave, but he actually got a different MOS assignment because he wanted to be an 11X or something. He had to pass some sort of like airborne test. Not for sure. Don't count on me for that information. But so he got a different date to go out. So we went back to the recruiting station, loaded everything up into the computer, and I went through the list of things. I was kind of hoping for a medical job, and then I noticed that they had the 31 Echo position, and that the station was in Chicago that I could serve at. So I said, I've seen this position, I'm interested in it. I signed my initial, I think what they call it is a reservation. So I went up to Meps a second time on a reservation for a job. So basically what that means is I have 7 days to go to Meps and raise my right hand and take the oath in order for that job to be completely secured. So that job was mine. I just had to go to Meps and make sure that we could, get the final paperwork and sign my contract. So the second time I went to Meps, it was a lot of waiting too, but it went a lot faster than the first time. I think I was out of there by like 1. So I went through, I had to do a secret security clearance interview, which the only tip I have for that is just make sure your paperwork's correct. I had like one address on my security packet that was messed up, and they made me call my recruiter, and it was a big mess. So make sure everything is squared away on there. Be confident in what you wrote down. If you saw something that was like very tiny, just wait until you get back to the recruiting station. You'll fix it then. Trust me, you'll save yourself 2 hours of waiting. So after they cleared me for the secret security clearance, because my job did require that, then I went upstairs back to the 10th floor, which is where the medical and the ceremony room is. So I was actually the only person that was in the ceremony room for my oath of enlistment. So I went into a briefing room. He gave me a paper, which this guy was, I'll be honest with you, this guy just hated his job, obviously, and did not like me. So he gave me the paper, and I was looking at it, and he was like standing very close to me. Like, he was like, okay, can you hurry the actual fuck up? And I was like, okay, here's the paper, I'm good to go. So he takes you in the ceremony room, he briefs you on, the parade rest, attention, very basic stuff. If you've done anything or have any idea of the military, it's very simple. So you stand at parade rest until the officer comes in. For me, I was the only person in there, so it was very laid back and cash. So he came in, I raised my right hand, I was at attention, took the oath of enlistment, took a picture with the officer, and she was out. So at that point, I just left. It wasn't as sentimental as I thought it would be. For some of you might get an officer that gives you a long speech before about why joining the military was a great decision for you, and gives you some tips, especially for people who are shipping out, the quick ship people who literally go to Meps and then leave the next day. They might give you a sentimental speech. Mine wasn't. They just came and gave me the blah, 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 the general, I, Logan Hayes, blah, 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 blah. Do solemnly swear XYZ. So mine wasn't very sentimental, but I was very happy to have joined and went through the experience. But if you guys are going to Meps, make sure that you're polite to the people that work there. I'm very happy that I joined the Army, and I'm just going through the future soldier training right now and awaiting my ship date, which is in August. So if you guys have any other questions regarding joining the military or anything that you're concerned about at Meps, let me know down in the comments. I'm sure a lot of people probably have the same question. So go ahead and ask, and I'll try to find the time to make another video about military experiences of mine and my experiences in the Future Soldier program. So thank you very much for watching. You guys have a great day. Bye.